Howdy. If you're watching this video, then I've sent you the private link for this YouTube video. Please don't share this with anyone. This is just supposed to be a little thing to kind of demonstrate the Fallen character sheet. And thanks for your time and thanks for watching. We'll get right into it. Here we have the Fallen character sheet. What's really cool about it is that this entire sheet is built off of Google Sheets. The handy dandy thing about that is that it is extremely easy to manage your all of your character sheets. So here's like my intern sheets for my one-shot game, and we were able to build their characters in like less than like 15 minutes. It was great. And it's because that's all automated. So none of this stuff they had to generate themselves. They had to click some boxes, type in a couple things, and the rest of that was basically done for them. So yeah, so we're going to be demonstrating today. I thought the best way to show it off, but what's also cool is I can manage like all the permissions and stuff, and I can assign it to different players, and it's all Google, so it's all free, and everybody has access to do this kind of stuff. So in order to go ahead and do this, the easiest way was just to go ahead and walk you through building a character, as it only takes like 15-ish minutes to do. Obviously, you could spend a lot more time on, the backstory and all those different things, but it seems like 15 minutes to 20 minutes is pretty much all you need. So I'm going to drag this over here to the test for the video so that I keep things organized. So here we are. So the first thing we're going to go ahead and do is just go ahead and enter in our name here. Character's Jav Quick. It's been my staple character. It's what my channel is named after. It's my, I think AI art's pretty cool. So I'm gonna give myself 1 attribute and 10 skill points to play with. We're gonna pick a reflex. I'm gonna grab a perception. I'm gonna grab an acrobatics. I'm gonna get stealth up to 2. I'm gonna take a 1 in communication, 1 in willpower. I'm gonna choose 1 in climb and 1 in athletics. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we're going to leave some extra because we want to do some stuff over here with vocations. So the first time you enter into this, I would highly recommend taking this full screen here. It makes it so nice to look at. And then you can also hit F11 on your keyboard here to really zoom in. And it basically turns it into this little character sheet suite. So we're going to go ahead. This whole sheet kind of works behind the scenes. There's about 5,000 lines of JavaScript that was originally written in F#, and then I converted it over to JavaScript. And this is how all the calculations are being done in the back end, or behind the scenes rather. And then this sheet here kind of tells you how to hook up to the sheet. So it's a pretty great system. So then here I'm going to go ahead, again, full screen, much more nice to look at. So I'm going to hit calculate here. So the first thing you're going to notice, it's going to prompt me to authorize to run my script. Everyone has to do this every time you get a new character sheet. You have to do it. This is just so that you're saying, hey, I can run this person's software, and I can only access this sheet, so it's not like I can do anything else. But yeah, I'm changing the sheet. I'm just going to hit allow. Cool. Awesome. So with that out of the way, we can go ahead and calculate now. You're going to notice here, inventory weight, my movement speeds in swimming and climbing, and my normal movement speed, my defense level, all these things are automatically calculated for me. So while that's calculating down there, we're going to go ahead and pick a vocation. So I'm going to choose my vocation as rogue. And in order to tag a vocation with the associated attribute, you just simply type either str, rfx, or int in capital letters, separated by a comma if you want to do multiple ones. So I could do rfx here. And let's say, hey, I wanted to do, so you can see here, I just went ahead and did all of my stats here. It did all of my inventory, my movement speed. Base is 30 for movement speed, and then for every point in reflex, you get 10. Every point in athletics, you get 5. My physical defense is 0 right now because I don't think equipped. And my inventory is also 0 because I have nothing equipped. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to choose we'll actually go ahead. We'll equip some armor and stuff first. So we're gonna go down here now. So I want to have my sword epilogue. I want to have, and you'll notice here it has. So I have one of these, and I can vary these, right? So I could say, I don't know, 3, and it'll reflect up here instantly. This number won't update until you hit calculate, because this is where it actually does a bunch of magic behind the scenes. But this is just like automated sum total like Excel stuff. Cool. So I want to equip this in order to show up in my my inventory. I'm going to change it back to 1. We're also going to go ahead and do let's do probably some Gambeson. I'm a rogue. We're also going to choose Superior Gambeson. You're going to notice that there's this thing called tier that you see there. So what tier is, and it'll kind of be self-explanatory. I'll go ahead and actually add an arming sword, which is also a medium sword, but it's mundane as opposed to excellent. So that'll kind of show us the difference between those two. I'm also going to add in a backpack. We'll do the normal backpack. We'll do like a healer's kit, and really if an item exists in D&D, I've kind of added it to this sheet plus a bunch of extra ones. And you can kind of see how many items, and you'd really want to see how many items. You can click over here to item data at the bottom and look through the 600 items or so that we have. And if they have the blue little hyperlink on them, that means that they're unique and that they have some picture associated with them. So for instance, my sword epilogue, yeah, so this actually is going to get updated very soon, but I thought it'd be so cool to, like, you could have a sword that if it's unique, have pictures of it, have lore associated with it, describing like its effects and the different things it does. Like my sword, if a creature is killed with it, their head falls off. So it's kind of a useless enchantment, but it's mine. It's been my character sword forever. So what's cool is that if it's just a hyperlink here, I can actually just take this and paste this straight in here. I'm going to make it automatically grab the hyperlink in the near future, so stay tuned for that. So then I can go ahead and hit calculate here. I'm going to make sure everything's equipped. If I don't equip it, what the equip means is, for instance, you could have stuff on your character, but that you aren't actively using in combat. So like, let's say I have like I got a new helm. I take my helm, I put on this new helm, but I attach the old helm to my sheet or to my like my hip. So I could do helm, and so I could have this helm just hanging here. If I don't have it on, then I can just unequip it, and that way it doesn't factor into my physical defense level or anything. So hit calculate here. While that's running, we're going to add in for my magic system. So this over here is my PDF with all my lore, and I think I've already probably linked this in the description of this video and stuff, so you can read all about the world lore and the different countries and the different races and all that good fun stuff, different languages. What we're focused on down here is the magic, which also, if you want to learn about our universal magic system, which is meant to be flavorless, that you could, it basically tries to give you balanced magic mechanics that you could apply to any magic system, and or like maybe technology or any kind of like shooting stuff from your hands, or even more than that, but like generally that's what I think about, right? So like I made a couple different magic systems, made miracles, Fellcraft, and I'm trying to change, like, this is AI art, it's so pretty, and so I'm trying to generate everything with AI art before I fully release this, so that I own everything that's on here. But these are just like examples right now, because this is just for fun. But I want to use Fellcraft. My character is not Fellkin, so he's not descendant from these monsters that bow to this deity that descended upon Terra, but just for the purposes of this, he's gonna be. So we're gonna do Fellkin here. And since the vocation, I can do this tag it, and I can tag it with strength, comma, reflex, comma, int. And I know that because over here, it says that, hey, this is scales off of strength, reflex, and int, because biological magic. Not all of my magics do, and you have complete customization based on the data you feed in if you want it to or not. And I will choose Blazecraft. So you've probably noticed down here that this went ahead and generated some combat rules for us. Net, it detected, hey, you have a sword, a medium sword here, you have an arming sword. They have certain tiers. You'll notice that like my one-handed epilogue is 2d6, 3d8, and my one-handed arming sword is 5d6. Now they have similar penetrations, similar ranges, but you'll notice that their combat rules different. You're like, Jack, why are d8s in there? Well, that kind of goes to that tier we've talked about. So for instance here, this one has excellent, this one has mundane. And if you want to learn more about those rules, then you can just scroll on up here and read about it in the hardcore weapon tiers and durabilities, or we could just look at the sheet. Basically, I wanted a way to distinguish between different like tiers of weapons. So I wanted to be able to give out like, you know, a really fancy sword and have it statistically different than like a normal arming sword. But I also didn't want there to be, you know, because my system is based a lot on scaling off of dice, and so just randomly adding dice places kind of breaks things. So I was like, oh, what's a better solution? Let's make it like an accuracy bonus. So mundane weapons start at 3d6 for their base dice, and then as the level of your weapon improves, or the level of your item rather, you start swapping out your d6s for d8s, and then you start swapping your d8s for your d10s. Then you start, and that way you get to A, use different dice, but B, you're going ahead and you're improving the accuracy of your weapon, right? Because 1, 2s, and 3s are failures, 4, 5s, and 6s are successes, and everything above like 7 and 8 on a D8 are successes, all the way up to like a D20 to 20 is a success. I just really like that idea of, you know, letting the weapon scale, and it's also this very like small trickle feed thing you can give to your players that they really enjoy, that it improves their weapons and it's something for them to work towards, but it doesn't dramatically change the amount of total wins that they can get. Oops, my bad. And that's kind of an important point to touch on real quick, is that the entire character sheet is actually completely, I would more think of it like a rule interpreting system. So all this data is actually being imported from another sheet. There's a master sheet that all this data lives on. So for instance, if I wanted to add in new attributes into our game, or if I wanted to add in new damage types, or if I wanted to add in new calculations for different weapons for either engageable opponents or the penetration that they get, because like my magic scales off of how many dice you roll for its penetration. Or even the range, like our range is almost completely scaling, except if it's calculated, which would be like melee and reach, because those ranges never change. Or like the range calculation would be like for every 1 dice you roll, you get 5 feet if your thing has medium attached to it. So like, I know extended, like a light crossbow would have extended. So every 1 dice you roll, you get 10 feet of effective range, and the maximum is 320. And so you're allowed to shoot beyond your effective range, but then the narrator kind of deduces some dice for you. So you got calculated range. You've got this here is actually how on the character sheet here, when you click here and you get all the different weapons that exist, all the hardcore weapons, and then also the magics. That's how it knows. Though there's nothing stopping me from here to like having lockpicking. And it just knows that it isn't one of the known, like one of the preordained, like, hey, these skills already exist in the game, but you could enter in anything here, and this will only scale off of reflex. But if it's one of these, then it might have differences. So like, for instance, let's choose medium sword. Medium sword knows to scale off of strength, int, and reflex, because in Cogent that's the way it works. So I can spend some skill points here. We're gonna take a negative in Blazecraft for right now. And so yeah, that's why here, like Epilogue, which is an excellent weapon, rolls, because it's technically level 3. So it rolls, instead of with d6s for its base dice, it rolls with d8s because it's plus 3. We're gonna go ahead and calculate real quick. You also notice that my and we gotta let it run real quick here. I'll show some more stuff, but you're gonna see some stuff pop up for your Blazecraft, both here and down in here. So it's gonna calculate that invalid thing here. This is just because I'm using data validation. Not a problem. Okay, so then here you can see that I've gained Blazecraft, and the trick here is just like a cantrip basically in D&D. So you can do little melee things close to you, and you can do little things short range next to you, but your dice are significantly reduced. But if I were to leave it as a zero, so it's not negative, it's a zero, then I would unlock new things like standard melee and standard ranged, the non-trick variants, where I'm actually burning some of my resource, which would be 3 right now, because for every point in Felkin, you get 1 or 3 more cap to your Ichor, which is your resource. And so you can see here, I can get cones, so it knows, hey, if you have a level 0 in Blazecraft, so you're not horrible at it, but you have you have it, you can do this, but you're not great at it. And you can kind of see here that it's at short right now. Your ranged here and that's because you don't really have any training with this, but you could attack like 15 feet away from you. And then you can see here like cone here, it tells you the area, the distance of this cone, like of a triangle, like what's the base of this triangle, or what's the length from you to your target, and what's the angle of that triangle. I can calculate the area if you needed to know that. But you can see here, depending on how much Ichor, how much resource you're pumping into it. So if I'm spending 0 Ichor, I don't gain any dice. But if if it says, hey, in order to calculate this, you need to at least spend 1 Ichor. And again, you could go look at the rule book, or you could look at the magic skill or magic combat data rather. So you can see like a melee trick takes 0 resource, a melee normal takes 1, and so does like ranged. Everything takes 1 except for the tricks and except for the AoE, the sphere, which is like a big explosion. Yeah, awesome. And then another cool feature I want to show real quickly is, I could also have like a crossbow. What can I spell? So I can do like a light crossbow. And if I go ahead and calculate right now, nothing will show up over here because this requires ammunition in order to generate combat rolls. So I could say bolt. I can give it a broadhead bolt. I can give it a barbed bolt. And I can give it like a wood-tipped bolt. And if I equip all of these, and I hit calculate here, it is going to know to add that over here. Boom. So then you can see here, I have all my epilogue stuff, all my arming sword stuff, all of my crossbow with all the various bolt variations. I also have just a normal crossbow here with no bolt, and that's just melee, right? So if somebody was like sneaking up on me, and you can see that's way worse because you should not be doing melee with the crossbow, so it takes those dice penalties. And then you can see here, like my Blazecraft cone, and if I wanted to give it maybe a +1 in this, you'll see that this will gain the focused shot, which is like I can stand still, only target 1 person this round, and I can do a focus shot on somebody, which is it's kind of like the charge, but for ranged, and crossbows can do it too. Everything can do it. It's a cool rule because you give up your engageable opponents. And see, sometimes it runs really fast. It's actually nothing to do with my software. It's actually behind the scenes. Google Sheets just kind of runs slow sometimes. I don't know why, but it just kind of does. What other things? Let's put on some heavier armor. Let's do like plate. And let's do plate, cuirass, and pauldron. And then you're also up here, you can add in all of your various backstory stuff, your notes. And I kind of try to make this in a place of prominence on your sheet so that it's really easy to have these things right at hand. You can also see up here that because my weight has changed, I'm technically in medium weight. I lose 1d6 to all strength and reflex checks, any kind of skill check with those. And I'm at 80% of my speed, but I'm carrying a lot more armor right now. So 1.25 plus 1.55, or 1.5 rather, is 2.75. And what's really cool about that is for your item data and stuff, like for here. So for Brigandine Vambraces or even Plate Vambraces, it says, hey, it has a physical stat, but it also counts as a weapon. So you could make like Captain America's shield in this, no problem. Just give it a defense stat, and then also give it, maybe make it like, medium blunt or small blunt. Cool. But one other thing I wanted to show was we have a thing called conduits. So I can do Radiance. And the way conduits work is there are ways you can augment your magic. So, because I was like, hey, item tiers are so cool for normal weapons, magic people probably are going to want these too and have stabs and stuff. So I made conduits. So we want to do, I think Adversary is the name of this one. It's this like light sword. It's my friend Jake's sword. And then let's see. Yeah, there's like, that's what it looks like. Adversary, it's so cool, but it's not a sword. It's a Radiance conduit, and so it's actually it's actually something you cast Radiance through. And so I just gave myself a Radiance skill, which you would never have Radiance under Felkin, because Felkin is only supposed to work with like Polycraft and like the Felcraft stuff, and this is technically Miracle stuff, but it doesn't matter for right now. It's all good. Let that calculate. But you can also see here that my movement speed is affected by 80%. So my usual 45 movement speed is at 36 right now. And generally what we do is, because it's on a combat map, we're usually using Tailspire to do our battle map stuff. And Fallen is built around the idea of using a battle map for combat, because it's bringing in a lot of the complexity of the combat that I really liked from D&D that isn't necessarily in Cogent. So you can see right here, Radiance, so it says Radiance Cone with adversary damage. So it tells you, hey, you're using this with a conduit. And and you can even see here that because the Radiance Conduit is fine gives you, your base dice are 1d6, 2d8, that it's augmenting those dice. And so it's calculating, your penetration on those spells, the effective range on those spells, doing all that fun stuff. So, I'm trying to think if there's any other really cool things that I have to show off. Yes. I also made this other thing over here for containers and off-person storage. So, like, let's say you wanted to, you owned, I don't know, freaking 50 poleaxes at home. And you don't want that on your character sheet. You just want that, to have that somewhere so you have those. You can throw it off into these ones on the right. And then let's say you wanted something in a backpack that you don't want on your main equipment tier, that you just want to have in your backpack, and that it's not really accessible easily, but it's in your backpack and you can drop your backpack really quickly. I can throw it right here. So I can say, what's something heavy? Pot. Yes, I have a pot here. I have an iron pot, and it's in my backpack now. And what's cool is that this also here, this is all just validated against our item stuff. So you can see component pouches here. It'll tell you how much weight they can hold roughly, like a pouch here. So I just have a pouch. I can't put that in that because that's too heavy. So I could say instead backpack. And then what's cool about this is if I hit on person here, if I calculate this now, you'll see my weight go up. But then if I went back over here and clicked off person or in the same calculation, this would be maybe you took off your backpack to go fight, or you stashed it somewhere to go raid a bandit camp. That way you could quickly calculate your entire stats unaffected by your inventory weight. So you can see my weight's gone up a bunch. Oh, also, I should mention that this info table has all these, disablings, languages, body type, It even does like your movement speed, your size on the map. It also does injury levels and resistances. So I could do like injury, and I can give myself like a level 4 injury, so I'm really hurt. And then if I go ahead and calculate this, that will go ahead and you're gonna see all my stats like plummet to 0 because I'm so freaking hurt right now. Also, you'll notice that a lot of my stats are really low right now anyways because I'm heavyweight right now. So any stat that is strength or reflex is being reduced by 2 because I'm at above half of my max carry weight right now. So everything just went to 0, but that's because I'm injured and because I have this crazy inventory weight. If I wanted to have a bigger inventory weight, I could invest in strength. And for every point in strength, you get 100 pounds in lift, or a carry weight, and then for every level in lift, you get 20. And so then the calculation works a little bit more favorably for you. So yeah, now I'm light. So if like I'm a metahuman and I have 2 strength, then all those other things are much better. Though you can see that that level 4 injury is really hurting me right now. But if I could just, crank that up. Oh, and also all of these skills here, like if I level up my medium sword here and I calculate it, then it will affect all of my medium sword weapons on my sheet here. So all these should go up as well. Beyond that, I have an arm down here, so you can also toggle on unarmed if you want to show your characters like unarmed stats. Yeah, I think that's about it. There's also a little Easter egg down here if you want to read it. But beyond that, yeah, thanks so much for watching. I can't think of anything else, so I should do the YouTuber intro or outro. But yeah, the last thing I wanted to touch on was that all this data, right? It's all coming down from APIs, so like if we want to update anything, it's super duper easy. Or if you want to make different worlds or different settings with this, it's super easy. Well, anyways, thank you so much for your time, and I hope this was enjoyable and you learned a little bit. And also, I'm gonna give myself like a. I want to have like my disabling. Missing bodily extremity. Yeah. I can say. Oh, this is just so there are cell calculations here, but you just delete them and write what you want. So I'm gonna say missing arm below the elbow, and yeah, cool. Well, we'll leave it there. Thanks for watching, and yeah, hopefully you get to enjoy this soon. Peace.